Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course brought to you by New Earth One Network. We are learning about the Arcturian healing frequencies and the pillar of light, the Antakaranah. And here with us is Jean Ang, who's bringing this modality so that we can develop our subtle bodies. Welcome, Jean. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Lauren, and hi, everyone. It's great to be here and to talk about the different spiritual aspects that could be helpful in our daily life.
So, we do another series with you. These transmissions that you offer are things that help us, I'd like to say, become fortified, but something's going on because you're really helping develop the subtle bodies in ways that accelerate what we could do on our own. Can you share about the Arcturian healing frequencies first and how they're assisting us in this?
Mhm. Yes, I think we're in a very unique time on the planet, as every time is. But I think here we have a chance to kind of marry the best of the physical sciences with our spiritual understanding and direct contact with the spiritual world. Each individual, I think, is coming to that realization that there doesn't need to be a middle person kind of mediating our connection with the spiritual world. And so the Arcturian frequencies and the events that we've been doing together, my hope and my attempt is to actually tune into what the spiritual world and higher beings are trying to impart onto the planet in terms of a collaboration together, sort of that openness to hearing and also working from our higher self. And so the Arcturian healing method is just one of many methods I think that people are downloading and sharing with others to make that connection individually for each person more strongly, to hear that message more strongly from their own inner contacts and guides. And so I think that's the main thrust or purpose of the Arcturian healing work.
Yes, it's beautiful. And you've shared your story about how that came to you, and it is from your own spiritual work. And you were in the science world, a PhD in neuromolecular bioscience to channel of the Arcturian frequencies. And a lot of the spiritual work that you do is based on esoteric teachings, a very broad spectrum that you offer. And this is the building of our bodies and our system and our connection with our higher self. And you are actually advancing in the scope of the transmissions that you do. This next one is the Antiquarana. Can you explain how you came up with this and why you feel it's important and what the benefits will be?
Mhm. Yes, people might know the Antiquarana or the Pillar of Light. also sometimes known as the Rainbow Bridge. And we've been working together in the different mastery empowerment classes and just in other offerings that I've been doing with the Arcturian healing method on the pillar of light in general. But the Rainbow Bridge or the Antakaranahs in particular is usually what they refer to as the upper part of the pillar, and it represents kind of an energetic connection to our higher soul. So basically, the energetic anatomy would be the incarnated soul energy that we have. Is usually lodged in a lot of systems description in the first chakra above the head. And then we have our energy field or energy body that's part of sort of the physical body. And then when we incarnate, we sort of, in some ways, are unconscious of the higher soul completely. Some people now, and many people have already developed a more conscious connection to the higher soul, and so are aware of those messages. But energetically, it's reflected by how sort of stabilized the connection is from the energy field that sort of is encapsulated within the physical body and the connection to this a higher soul's information that's in the first chakra above the head and beyond that. So in each lifetime, the idea is that we rebuild this bridge of light from our sort of personality self to the higher self, and that's reflected in the building of the Antiquarana, or this upper part of the pillar.
Very interesting. So, this is the spiritual journey, and it goes from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. And as you develop this pillar of light within yourself from your lifetimes to lifetime, what do you begin to experience? I mean, when we talk about looking into the other realms or the other dimensions, this is where we start to see things that we don't see in a physical sense. What is that like for you? Do you see colors, geometries? What's that like?
Mhm. Yeah. For me, I think at least currently the feeling is that there's like these silent messages from the soul is the way I would call them. But we might describe them as more like a mind-to-mind contact. Although in this case, it's this one mind from the, and I'm just referring to the higher soul, which may be a deeper aspect of myself or ourselves, to this more surface consciousness that's sort of our interface with this physical dimension, kind of this consciousness that I'm utilizing now to sort of just talk with people or interact with the physical world. But sort of in the background, we may notice a sort of this quiet, sort of almost mental consciousness that's there. It's beyond the kind of the language aspect of our mind, or sometimes we call it the chattering mind. And sort of different meditation circles might refer to it as that, or even the monkey mind. But it could be called something. Well, we love monkeys too, but we could even call it something nicer if we, unless of course we love monkeys. So, but just being loving to ourselves, but just different aspects of ourself. But I think as that connection to my higher self, as I'm feeling becomes stronger, that more silent communication, I think, becomes more up in the front. That's in, and then we could talk about this later, and I think we've been talking about this a lot in the recent classes. I do also hear an inner tone. I think that has is a reflection of this connection, and also connection to the higher spiritual worlds that people may spontaneously start experiencing, and may not have any context for what that is.
People experience ringing in the ears or the shift in the ring in the ears, and why some may pick that up as satellites passing over. It is an energy shift. And so you've talked about this in the transmissions, that it's this presence, it's a higher self, or it's a consciousness, or it's new energy coming in to our field. So what we're doing here is, in our role on our planet in this lifetime, in the collective, we are tuning into our higher selves in a direction for new earth. This higher self connection, it comes through the heart, and that's why all these important centers of our body are what the Arcturian transmissions focus on. The work that we're doing is stabilizing the energy field. What's the stability of the field? Why is that so important?
Mhm. Yeah. In particular, with the work that we're doing in the upcoming Arcturian Antiquarana class, or there's a particular focus on what I would call like the hardwiring. And these, of course, are metaphors of the pillar. And like in a sense, I've been referring to the pillar in a very general way, like almost like a conduit, but it's almost like opening up a transistor and like working on particular parts of it. And there's these three threads that some spiritual traditions refer to in the Antiquarana. There's a mental thread or a mental, and it connects to what's called a mental seed. And this kind of is an answer to your question about the stability. And then there's a physical thread or a physical that connects to a physical seed that's actually at the heart center. And then there's an emotional thread or emotional seed that's more at the solar plexus and liver. So these are like particular parts of the wiring, you could call it, metaphorically, of course, of the pillar. So and just to finish that off, the mental seed's actually at the center of the head. So there's this, if you could imagine that the higher soul is sort of above your head, in the first chakra above the head and beyond, these threads come down and sort of anchor at these different seeds. So the mental seed at the center of the head, the physical seed at the heart, and then the emotional seed at the solar plexus. To be kind of like you strengthen those connections. And there's a little bit more about that, but that's the gist of.
We're going to experience a short session with you so everyone can experience this. Before we get there, let's have you talk about the three sessions that are coming up in this transmission and just share a little bit about each of those.
Mhm. Yeah, so the idea here with most of the sessions, we've been focusing on our sort of connection or work with the Arcturian energy and consciousness. So higher beings, when you're doing your spiritual work, particularly what I was calling subtle bodybuilding work, where you're building the subtle energy system, they can assist or accelerate that building with your consciousness. So in this case, the Arcturians are sort of going to help, or the intention is to help build these three threads more strongly. They're most likely, or they're present in us already. And the one thing that I left out were these three seeds. They're acting as a type of recorder of our incarnational experience. So the mental seed is sort of recording all our experiences on the mental level. The physical seed at the heart is recording our physical experiences, and then the emotional seed at the solar plexus is recording the emotional aspect. And then at the end of our life, within this framework of understanding, these three seeds, they get pulled up into the higher soul, and then the higher soul gets, continues upward to what they call the monad, which is more a collective in this system, collective aspect of consciousness, where individual souls that are very related, like as a family, they're sort of the source, that the monad, and then higher than that is the divine, or our divine spark. Um, so in these sessions, the Arcturians and the Arcturian energies will be strengthening each of these seeds and each of these threads. So we can kind of experience in this next one. We'll do a short sort of meditation slash energy transmission for the mental seed.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. It
Mhm.
really is something to be experienced, and it is an inward journey. So, the Arcturians, for those who may not know, can you share who the Arcturians are? They are higher dimensional beings, really assisting planet Earth.
Yeah. I think that's one of the openings, like you're mentioning, in this kind of new wave, or like the new Earth transition. People might just refer to it as this sort of uh, advanced acceleration that's happening for humanity and the planet, that they're coming into awareness of both their spiritual self as well as spiritual presences or beings who are here to assist, or maybe have been assisting us in the background, until sort of we become conscious of them, like sort of like friends who've been having our back, and then we finally realize that they've always been back there or around us. So the Arcturians are much like that. People might be more who haven't heard about them may be easier to associate them with similar to angelic beings. Angels have happen to be very, I think, more widespread in the collective as an understanding, as assisting beings who don't have necessarily a physical body, although maybe some have incarnated in physical form. So the Arcturians, Arcturus is a star, and the Arcturian beings I see more as like existing in the astral dimension or higher, and their consciousness or presence, usually through some type of frequency or mental exchange, is here to assist us in various forms of healing.
Yes, higher dimensional beings. Some are not even in physical form, but they certainly are helping us. And I just want to share that some people see them differently. Some people experience maybe a council. More and more people are beginning to become aware of them and our own galactic beingness. Perhaps we are all Arcturians as well. And I just want to share once again that Tom Kenyon, the sound guy,
Mm.
sound, has even said he's gotten the download or he's had the awareness that Jesus was an Arcturian. So that
Oh.
goes to help explain this angelic beingness and the beauty behind all of it. And what I love is that they are, some have even reported ships in the sky over certain land masses in on the globe. And we can ask for them to assist us. And that's what you're doing is you're deliberately, consciously working with these energies to help us build our bodies in such a way that as we do advance our soul in this lifetime, it even takes us further in the next lifetime. So, isn't that fascinating? It's really, when we talk about ascension, it is this accelerated activity. It seems like we're being given many opportunities these days to really have that acceleration into shifting into love. And
Mm.
isn't that what ascension is, in your opinion?
Yes, yes, definitely. I think the Arcturians are helping in various ways, and as well as other different higher beings, and people kind of collectively connect to uh, what they refer to as the different peeps or groups that they work very closely with the sort of overall impulse to sort of work with unconditional love to create a positive vibration, to offset any kind of disharmonious vibrations in the environment and our own individual or collective levels.
So, with that, let's do a few minutes of a transmission. This is a place where everyone watching can or listening can really just come into a stillness and receive these beautiful transitions. For the most part, it's silent. You tell us what's going on, but that's where we can allow the ego mind to step aside as we truly stay centered in the heart and just feel what's going on. So thank you, Jean.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, and this what we'll be doing, this is sort of like a meditation slash transmission with kind of a almost like a slight preview of what the Antiquarana, Arcturian Antiquarana work is. The meditation portion, you'll hear me guide us in the beginning. You'll just lightly settle your awareness in the center of your head, which is where I mentioned that mental seed is located. If people have done other work or are familiar, that's also where the pineal gland or pineal chakra is located. And the mental seed also can give rise or connects to people's Akashic record information. So even within this short amount of time, you may get a download from your higher self related to any type of information from your Akashic field. So you could just be open to that. It may also come in a packed form, so it may unpack later. You may become conscious of it later. And then you'll hear me say that the Arcturian Antakaranah frequencies are running. and it's meant to establish a stronger connection from the mental seed through the mental thread up to your higher soul information. Okay. Yeah, so we're beginning the transmission and exposure to the Arcturian Antiquarana mental seed frequency. So if you'd like, you can just slightly place your awareness in the center of your head, which is the location of the mental seed, like an energetic essence. And we're channeling now the Arcturian Antiquarana mental frequency. This is helping to continue to establish a stronger connection to your higher soul's information, to your monad's information, and higher than that, to your divine spark. We're continuing to channel the Arcturian Antiquarana mental frequency. Like what Lauren was mentioning, as you're relaxing, placing your awareness in the center of your head, you may feel vibrations or even see colors or lights. In particular, the mental seed is sometimes known as the blue pearl because a blue or indigo hue sometimes appears in a spherical form. And then finally, if you tune in, you may also hear an inner tone as you're placing your awareness in the center of your head. We're continuing with the last few minutes of the Arcturian Antiquarana mental frequency. And that completes the transmission. You can gently But firmly come back to your physical body, moving your fingers and your toes, coming completely back to your physical body. When you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes and snap your fingers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jean, for that experience in such a short time to be able to feel that is wonderful. Definitely tuning into the essence, tuning into the energy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to share as if people like that technique or a practical aspect of that technique. I mentioned in the system how these seeds are recorders, and so they're recording our incarnational existence, and then they get pulled up at the end of life, almost like just to sort of get integrated, like back in the mainframe, which would be metaphorically our higher self. But if you do that meditation, even at something as short as that on the mental seed, it's both an upload and it's both a download and an upload. So you're basically doing that macro cycle of after every incarnation on a shorter microcycle. So what basically what I'm trying to say is when you meditate there, you upload your mental information that you've been experiencing, let's say so far to the higher soul, that integrates it, and then it sends back down information that's useful to you now. And this, of course, is like a metaphor. So, in a sense, you don't have to wait until the very end to get the integration. You can do it almost like moment by moment when you're doing that meditation, and that's how things get accelerated. So you don't have to wait for the feedback at one like final exam, so to speak, or final end. You can do it like ongoing.
The session that you have, the 3 sessions, those are recorded. I just wanna talk a little bit about how that works. We do a group transmission, and then we have comments, and there's always, a little bit of lecture that explains what's going on here, and then we extract out the energy transmissions for people to work with again and again, so it's a living transmission and the energy builds each time anyone listens to it because that group energy is part of that recording.
Yeah, yeah. I think as it's a kind of like how fine wine ages with time, or at least that's the hope, or kind of the quantum idea is that the group information field or the morphic field of these, and then I guess we're taking advantage of this the times we live in terms of technology because we can record in a sense, you can get a snapshot quantumly of what we've been doing in time. Whenever you use them, if you were there in the live event, or then use the recording later on, or you get the recordings, in a sense, you're linking quantumly or through resonance to this morphic field that's growing as each person sort of interacts with their own Antakaranah is building that. That helps everyone else in a sense, much like how Roger Bannister, when he broke the 4 minute mile, then really recent after right after that, many people, I think even up to 60 people, where this imaginary barrier of how fast the human could run a mile was broken pretty soon after he did that. In a sense, when we are working on ourselves, whether it's either through these MP3s or people who are just trying to build the Antiquarana, it becomes easier for everyone else because we're sort of all working in the same morphic field as a human community. Yeah, so there's ways you can use the energy tools or particularly the recordings in this way.
We invite our viewers to come and join Jean Eng in these transmissions. You will feel an elevated vibration. You will be in the group energy over the course of these days that we meet, and it builds and it expands. And then you just watch your experiences as you integrate it. Jean, it's beautiful, and we thank you again.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks for providing. We've been working together now for a number of years, and providing what I call this kind of Arcturian library or library of kind of ascension tools. And it's great that you're providing this platform for many speakers and people to connect with each other and kind of really taking advantage. I think maybe there was a time that we had this technology, like if it was at Atlantis or stuff, to connect, in the through technology. But I'm assuming that through evolution, this is the first time we've had this ability to connect all over the world, and maybe we'll go galactic in the next couple lives. But in this way, so and creating this global light community. So I wanted to thank you for that. And just to thank everyone to tuning in and the work that you're doing, because like I was mentioning in the morphic field, you don't even really need to necessarily have to speak to someone or interact with them physically, although of course we love to do that. And we have different people that we kind of come into our lives physically, but just by our own inner work, we're helping each other. And maybe we'll see each other in the physical world or in the inner world at some point.
And we have had experiences in the dream state during these sessions. Jean appears, other people in the class appear. It's just a beautiful way to connect. And Jean, I wanted to say that, yeah, in the past it was called telepathy.
Okay.
And I think that this is a bridge. You know, when we were children, we had the Jetsons. The
Right,
Jetsons
yeah, that's
had the TV phones and things. So it's here. We're just missing the jetpacks.
it's
I'm ready
coming.
for the jetpacks. Okay. Thank you, Jean. Thanks for this time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.